Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads. I'm your host Sam, and I'm once again in my mobile command centre for those of you watching on YouTube. But today we are going to be talking about waivers for week 3. But before that, let's think about a little bit about what we learned this past week. I didn't say it for the full thing after I did week 1, but week 2 had its moments. There were some absolutely stonking games, and I think there's 3 things that I took out of it from what I saw anyway. I think number 1 is you shouldn't have written off the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are still a good team. Yes, they came up against a very, very good team in the Green Bay Packers, but Detroit Lions are still good, and you saw that with some great performances from their guys as well. Jared Goff with over 35 points or something like that. Yeah, 33 points in half PPR. Of course, he doesn't receive it that much. But Jahmyr Gibbs putting on an absolute show as well. 19.4 points. And of course, I think it was nearly 40 points for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's still not the number 1 guy. 39.2 in this half PPR, in this PPR setting as well. Absolutely amazing. And they just, the thing that I noticed as well is they didn't let off at all. They just kept going and going and going. And I think we'll see that from Dan Campbell more so than we'll see that from other teams where, once you're ahead, protect your assets, etc. No, they were still throwing it. They were still trying to get Amon-Ra St. Brown to the top of the list. Jahmyr Gibbs got his stuff. It is very much Jahmyr Gibbs' backfield. I think it's fair to mention now. He has definitely taken over. Sonic and Knuckles was a thing. I think Knuckles is less of one these days. It's definitely a Sonic solo movie. Next thing, though, I think the thing to think about is that 2 good teams can often really cancel each other out. And I think that is very evident in one of the later games. We had Kansas City Chiefs versus Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't a walkover. It was 20-17. There was no fancy things to write home about at all. It was just a bit of a naff game when it came to fantasy. And it's because they both were good teams. They were both cagey with each other. I said the same thing about the Chargers versus Chiefs as well. And I think this will happen in a lot of games where they play the Chiefs. The Chiefs are good and will make stuff happen with the guys that they have available to them, which isn't many people. But they have a good defense, which means the other team's going to play hard, and it's going to be difficult for them to survive as well. So 2 good teams can really cancel each other out. So think about that when you're thinking about your matchups. But I think the last thing is 2 bad teams or a mismatch leads to fun. And we saw that in so many games. Mismatches in Baltimore, mismatches with the Tennessee Titans against the Rams, although it didn't show in the first half. 2 bad teams can both just absolutely batter each other, but bad defenses lead to a lot of fun, and we're seeing that a lot. And I really, really have enjoyed the fantasy kind of scale. I've been the top scorer in my main dynasty league for 2 weeks in a row with 200 plus points because I'm picking bad players on bad teams, so good players on bad teams. And that's just leading to some great fun. Anyway, let's talk about some great performers this last week. In the quarterback room, you obviously have Goff. Did absolutely amazing, and he is in the, for a statuesque quarterback, he did fantastically. 5 touchdowns, I think it was 23, 28, 3, 3, 4, and 5 touchdowns. Absolutely amazing showing there, especially after he got 10 points in the week 1. Russ showing us there's life in the old dog yet. Didn't get a win, but absolutely amazing stat line. 450 yards for him with 3 touchdowns and an interception in a losing effort. Jonathan Taylor, Cook, Bijan, all at the top of the list here. Bijan Robinson, absolutely amazing game. 143 yards or something like that, was it? 143 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. No, not without a touchdown. Crikey, I didn't realise. 3 receptions for 25 yards. James Cook is not regressing, apparently. Maybe a little bit on the touchdown front, but he's got 3 touchdowns for the year. That's pretty impressive. Javonte Williams is still the thing. Amon-Ra St. Brown have talked about. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams combining for 50 points in that game. I loved that. It felt very even. And I think we also learnt that Fannin can play. And even though his fantasy scoreline didn't show it in this one, he was involved in a really interesting touchdown. It was actually a touchdown that was received by Cedric Tillman, but the ability he had to sense the play was going to go awry, tip the ball up out of the defender's hands, and it ended up in Cedric Tillman's hands, was absolutely bonkers. This is why bad teams, good players on bad teams really show out. And it's stat line might not be there, but I think he's going to get a lot of credit, and he is going to get a lot of plaudits for running really well in that team, and seeing what he can do there. In terms of the other results, let me go quickly talk about my start sits for last week, because you kind of want to own up to when I've done good, when I've done bad. It would seem I'm better at predicting bad performances than I am predicting good performances, and maybe that's easier. I don't know, but this is an art, not a science. I think my Thursday recommendation of Jordan Love, that hit. Connor, I think it was 11 points. So good, it was okay. I gave myself a negative for that, because you should be looking for hot, not just average. Hollywood Brown, 8 points, definitely a miss there. Tyler Warren, as far as tight ends go, was a hit, and unfortunately it wasn't Calvin Austin's game. Aaron Rodgers had a bit of a stutter there. In terms of the sits, Tua was graced by a weird game script, so I kind of put in a bit of a meh on that one. He didn't do bad, he didn't do great, so I kind of put in that. Pacheco absolutely was dump, got that one right. Terry was dump as well, got that one right. Pitts did not perform how you wanted him to, but I was wrong about K9. Okay, I told you to sit K9, and he goes off, and every single time Red Zone panned away, you saw these great highlight plays, and they were absolute bonkers. So I'm sorry, Ken Walker. Maybe it is your backfield, especially when I saw a start. Zach Charbonnet got like 10 yards on 15 carries or something like that, or 15 yards on 10 carries. Absolutely atrocious display from him. Seahawks, you just keep being weird. I love it. Right, but we're here to talk about waivers, and you want to know who you're going to pick up this week. And I'm taking an approach where I'm going to give you three names at each position, and then tell you which one I think you should pick, and then we'll go over our kind of overalls. The short list for tight end, let's have a look at this. We've got Juwan Johnson. He is still not fully rostered. He was 50%. I think when I wrote this, in fact, he's gone up even since then. 48%. He was 37% roster when I got this. So obviously something's happened there, or the systems are caught up. But last week he was, I need to remember, but I think he was 95% available. So people have latched onto him. People are still sleeping on him. You shouldn't be sleeping on him. This week, another 15.9, very consistent performer. You should be very happy with that. Zach Ertz is only 50% rostered, 18.4%, 84.4 points this week. Lots of it in garbage time. Is he reliable? We'll have to see. He's old. I'll give him that. That's what we do know about him. And finally, Harold Fannin Jr., who is a top 10 tight end, despite not breaking double-digit points this week, 9.8. But as the aforementioned, I think he is a fantastic pickup, and I think he has lots of opportunity available to him, especially when Cleveland are going to be playing a lot of better teams, and they are playing a very good team this week. I mean, let's look at the competition for these guys. Juwan Johnson goes up against the Seahawks. I think that is a really good buy there. Harold Fannin is going up against the Green Bay Packers. They're going to have to throw a lot. Harold Fannin will be there. They've got a pass rush. They've got Micah. They're going to need to get it out early. And finally, who was the third one I talked about? Ertz going up against Las Vegas. I think they're maybe going to run the ball a bit more because they have the ability to. So out of those three, I would still be recommending, because he's going to be available in most of your leagues, is Harold Fannin Jr. And I talked about Juwan Johnson to no end last week, and it picked up. So go pick up Harold Fannin Jr. At wide receiver, we have a new list of names. We're going to talk about Troy Franklin to start with, and everyone was questioning, who's going to be the second guy. He's 98% available, guys. 98% available. Troy Franklin, you want a piece of him. Really like him. 24 points this week. Yes, in a losing display. He got a carry as well. He's a bit of a gadget player. I think he's a second-year player. I can't remember when he came in, but absolutely amazing performance. But I think he had an amazing performance because it was in spite of. Yeah, it was definitely in spite of Cortland Sutton's performance. Can this be sustainable? I don't know. I think that Denver will be a better team moving forward. Will he be the number two? Potentially. Still a competition with Marvin Mims. We'll have to see how that goes. Hunter Renfrow is an interesting one as well. He is in the top. He's right next to his teammate Teteroman in the rankings. 23.8 on 7 catches, 2 touchdowns. Very touchdown dependent scoreline there. He is 98% available as well. Has a matchup against Atlanta, who are not a bad defense as we saw this week, but not a great defense either. Not sure if I like it. Blast from the past. It's a fun name if you're in a deep league. And finally, Alik. I'm going to have to. Ayo Manor, I think that's how you spell it. Alik Ayo Manor. He's a bit further down here, but I saw something out of him, and I thought he had a crazy long run. Yes, his I think his long was like 50 or something like that. Maybe long 45. There we go. 4 for 56 and a touchdown on 6 targets. I think Tennessee are going to have to start slinging it because they're not going to win games otherwise. I think he has a much better skill set than we have at Ridley, who is aging out of there. He is a great player, and again, 93% available. That's bonkers how available he is in these leagues. If I was to pick any one of them, I'd probably pick Ayamanor. I like the matchup against Indianapolis this week. I think he could do some damage. Indianapolis, I've played it out their skin, but eventually they will regress, and they are not unprone to having to making mistakes on defense as well. Sorry, I got distracted in the background there. At running back, we're going to talk about a couple of guys I've already talked about. Algier as well. I said he's in the Falcons game. He had a great start. I think he's on page 2 on this one actually. That's why I need to go look for him there. Let's look at his scoreline here. He's not there. I can't find him. Algier. No, can't find him here. But either way, I think if Atlanta are going to run it, they are going to be able to run it through, obviously, and they've shown that already. He's here. I found him all of a sudden. They run it through Bijan an awful lot. That's why he got 143 yards. But even still, on 16 carries, 76 yards, 4.8, 1 touchdown, 1 reception, 4 yards, 15 points. If you're looking at running back depth, which you need to be looking at running back depth, he is great. 35% roster, which means he's 65% available. I think he's a great pickup, and I think if anything were to happen to Bijan, he's a plug-and-play replacement. He's very, very talented. Javonte Williams needs to be said. I was wrong about him. He's only 12% available, but the fact he's available in league still means he might be in yours. Go and look at him. Benefited massively from a lot of goal line work this week and a lot of work in general in that overtime win. But yeah, he's definitely someone I would be looking at. And if you're looking for a bit of a deeper shot here, you'd be looking at Bishal Tootin. Now, it is obviously going to be Travis Etienne's. No, sorry, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. Trevor Etienne is on the Panthers, but Travis Etienne is going to be the lead back, obviously. But he was not bad. 8 for 42, 5.3, and he got some receiving work as well. Interesting to see. He is a bit of an everything guy. 60% available, and I think in deeper leagues he might be really interesting, especially when you're looking for options. But my buy of the week would be Tyler Algier because he's going up against the Carolina Panthers. They're going to end up running it more. You want a piece of that offense. And finally, at quarterback, there was a wealth of riches. Obviously, we've seen Burrow has gone down to Browning. If you're a Burrow owner, I don't think Browning's a league winner, but he is a league keeper at the very least. Mac Jones did well this week, but whether he'll be available on the lineup next week because Purdy will likely come back, we'll have to see. But the guys we're looking at here, the 3 guys, Daniel Jones, again, he is here to stay. Another 22 plus 20 points here. He's not making mistakes and he's getting stuff on the ground as well. You just like him. He's still 75% available in most leagues as well. Jared Goff is still available in 38% of leagues. You want a piece of that offense pick from the first thing I said at the top of the show here. And Russ will hold on to the mantle for a couple more weeks. They did not lose that game because of him. They lost that game because their defense decided to shit the bed. Sorry, that was the first time I think I swore on this pod, but I'm going to keep it in and see if you guys notice. 30.3 points. He's going against Kansas City, and I think based upon the matchups, the one I'm favouring is it's got to be Danny Dimes because he's going against Tennessee. So I'm recommending 2 AFC South pickups this week in waivers. It's crazy. And let's go back through the list. And the guys, Danny Dimes does stand tall at the top there. 79% available. The Derp is still loose. Bishal Tooten, 6% available. Shown to be a very capable number two. Harold Fallon Jr., I've talked about him as well, 73% available, shown he can get involved, and I think he will play himself into more opportunity. Juwan Johnson is still a favourite target in what is a very feisty team. I quite like them under Spencer Rattler. They're doing some good stuff. A.K.A. I've talked about it being a good waiver wire picker for wide receiver. He's number two in that system, and they are going to have to throw it more, and they're going to let Cam Ward throw it more, I believe, as well. And Tyler Algier is my running back pickup of the week, 66% available. You want a piece of him, but for every pickup, you've got to drop someone. And that's a good question about who you drop. I get asked this a lot because people hesitate, but waivers should be active. Waivers should be cyclical. And I think the person that I would drop at each position is obvious. I think a quarterback, if you still got him, I'd be surprised. I still have him in deeper leagues, but Aaron Rodgers, I think, is a droppable asset now. He showed last week that he could not will the team back to a good performance. He's definitely showing his age, and although he had a great performance in week one, that was very much planned for. Went on a shorter week, on a normal week without a preseason beforehand, one touchdown, two interceptions. Yes, against a good defense, but still, can you rely upon him moving forward? I don't think so. Not without the legs for the points there. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be my running back drop of the week here. I don't even think he'll be on the front page here. Oh, he is just about. But let's look at his recent performances. They're just not running it well, and average 2.2. That's like 10 for 22, 2.2, one reception, 3.9 points. It wasn't good. They were against New York Giants, who on paper should be a better run defense, where they will be, but they're spreading the ball around. The fact that Kareem Hunt is ahead of him in the pecking order. How many opportunities did Kareem Hunt get? Let's look at the opportunities here. He got 8 opportunities. The fact he's at that level of competition means he is a very droppable asset. Wide receivers, I'm going to be a bit braver, and I'm going to say there is a bit of a passing of the torch, and although he's incredibly available, he's incredibly available on the field, it feels like he's always open. You're not getting, if you're looking for a good performer in one of the other positions, you're not getting as much as you need to out of DJ Moore. It's very much seen that Rome Odunze is the favoured target there. Yes, he's still available, but he's so streaky. And even in games where he should be scoring lots of points, where the ball scoring is open against Detroit, against Minneapolis, he's not doing it. I'd probably give him one more week, but he would be on my bubble to maybe think about dropping as well. Tight end, it's a personal vendetta here because I've got him in 2 places, and I thought he was going to be a thing, but I'm going to have to go a long way down to find him. It is, of course, Mark Andrews. I don't think he's even on the front page, is he? I'm going to have a quick look here. No, he's not even on the front page, but I can tell you he's scored me like 1 point over 2 weeks or something silly like that. Maybe my take on tight ends is bad. Yeah, he's got 2.9 points going through 2 weeks against opposition that he should have been able to get. There are second string guys, there are fourth string wide receivers getting more touches than him. He is a droppable asset now. And finally, Matthew Golden. I've always said this offense is a bit shaky, but again, this is a second page guy. I can't even find him here, but let's have a quick search for him. Matthew Golden is just not making himself the alpha. Everyone thought he would come in and make himself the alpha, but Jordan Reed, when he was healthy, got more touches than him. He got 2 targets for 0 catches, 2 carries. They're trying to manufacture stuff for him, and it's just not working at the moment. So he is a droppable asset as well there. And of course, if you're thinking about injury considerations, your droppable assets, of course, Joe Burrow, if he's out for 3 months, you do not want to have him on your roster. And that's your lot, guys. I'll leave it, if you watch on YouTube, I'll leave it on the screen. But obviously, if you can go to all of the social media pages and find everything that you want there. But my pickups this week, go after Danny Dimes, go after Bishal Tooten, Harold Fallon Jr., Juwan Johnson, banging that drum again and again and again. A.K.A. a bit of a deeper pick, and Tyler Algier, I think, is a major handcuff that should be rostered in all leagues. And has some fantastic upside with physical abilities. But that is your lot, guys. What do you think? I'll be back on Thursday, I think, with my preview for week 3. quick turnaround it feels like this week. Every week it does. I don't know whether I'll be on my remote setup or I'll be back at home for that one, but please tune in. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want to support the pod, go find us on social media at Rugby With Pads, rugbypads.com as well if you want to get a membership. £1 to support the pod, keep the lights on as best we can. Keep the content coming as well, and you can get yourself some discount merch if you become a member as well. But thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all very soon on the virtual gridiron.